Hello, welcome to Oxford Heirlooms. Today I'm working on an heirloom bubble. Now the pattern I use for making my heirloom bubbles is by Chery Williams and is her Baby Bubbles pattern. It comes in sizes 3 to 24 months. And generally about 24 months is when children get out of diapers and they really don't need to be wearing bubbles any longer anyway. Now I'm making a fancy bodice for this bubble. Actually, I'm making two bubbles. I have a friend who's got girl granddaughters who are basically the same age. So I'm making one bubble in pink, and you'll notice I have started the center of the bodice first, and I've done some hand embroidery on it. And the second bubble is going to be blue. Now, if you notice those two lines and a couple of markings that I have on the fabric, I use a friction erasable pen. I order them from Amazon, and I generally get them like in navy blue or black. And the nice thing about this is once I mark on the fabric, I can iron it and it disappears. Now, I'm going to be making some fancy lace panels to go on either side of my embroidery. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of examples of lace panels that I make. Now, this one is made with French laces, and you'll notice that I used entredot to attach the lace to the lace, and I've got entredot on the edges where I'll be attaching it to the fabric of the garment. Now, this is not Moline lace, so it's not fuzzy on one side, so you have to be careful. But one thing, let me bring this back up here again. But you will notice that the middle lace is directional. I like to have things pointing up. So when I inserted that in the garment, I would make sure that I have that positioned where the flowers are pointing up, as opposed to having the flowers pointing down. Now, this second sample is a Moline lace, and it's not directional, so I don't have to worry which direction I insert the lace in, but I do have to be careful. As I mentioned in my video on the basics of French lace, Moline lace is a little bit fuzzy on one side, so you need to orient the lace to where the fuzziness is going to be on the inside. Now, you'll notice on this one, I did not use entredot to attach my lace to lace in the center. This was just a design idea that I had, but I don't do that very often. I usually use entredot. Now, for the bubbles that I'm making today, I'm going to be using a combination of Swiss beading that has entredot built into it, and I'll also be using some French insertion. Okay, I'm going to have 2 rows of insertion with 1 row of beading in between the middle of it. Okay, now, and this is not Moline lace, but it is directional, so I'll have to be careful about that. Now, I've already got this project started. If you'll notice on the beading, it's got batiste on both sides of it. And on this one, you know, what you do before you start sewing the lace to the beading is you have to trim the batiste with embroidery scissors very close to the entredot. And then you use your sewing machine to zigzag the lace to the entredot, using stitches where your needle goes into the ladder hole each time and cuts across to the lace. Now, one thing I'm going to have to be careful about when I attach my second side of this lace is that the lace is directional. The flowers all point in one direction. So when I attach my lace to the other side, I'm going to want to orient my lace to where all the flowers are pointing in the same direction, as opposed to attaching it this way where on one side of the beading the flowers are pointing up and the other side of the beading the flowers are pointing down. Now I'm getting ready to zigzag this second piece of insertion to the other side of my beading for my lace panel, but I'm not going to show you that because that's just sewing on the machine and that gets a little bit boring. And I'll do another video later on using just a close-up of how to sew and how to set the machine. But this is just an example of something that I'm making, and I'll be attaching this to my bodice later on. Thank you.